MLA is arrested by the SIT. He's been sent to 2 days of custody. And sources suggest the India-Canada FTA negotiations for the moment have been put on hold because of political developments in Canada. A very good evening. The show is called The Burning Question and I'm Deepthi Sachdeva. Lot of questions today on top of our minds. These questions should have an answer. But who's going to respond to the questions that we had in our minds when we saw that one defining image? That one image, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you must have seen it too. It has shattered our hearts. I'm going to request our team to put our images of the little Kabir Singh. Who really is Kabir Singh? Kabir Singh is all of 6 years old. He was bidding the final goodbye to his dad, his superhero. He might have only heard about death till now, but this was the little one's first brush with that truth, that everything that is born is destined to die. But clearly his dad, Colonel Manpreet, shouldn't have gone like this. That is what he must be thinking. A lot of you have spoken about this and said perhaps 6 years is too young for him to even understand what really has happened. But can we fool ourselves by saying that and normalize grief for not just Kabir, his little sister who's all of 2 years old, the family of all the brave hearts that have martyred and who've put their lives for the country. Now remember, as in some time you will see a lot of these crowds melting away, all these families will be left to deal with their own grief. They'll get occasional visitors, they'll get occasional calls asking for their well-being. And who knows, tomorrow there could be new brave hearts we'll be talking about. But each and every of this image, remember that you have seen from Srinagar to Panipat to Chandigarh, makes us ask just one question. For how long? For how long we'll see people dying like this? The men in uniform. We'll also put our images of what happened earlier in Srinagar, also what happened in Chandigarh, and like I said, also what happened in Panipat. Politicians will continue to politicize because that's what they ultimately are. They are politicians. But like I said, who today has answers for Colonel Manpreet Singh, for Major Ashish Thanchok, also for Deputy Superintendent of Police Humayun Bhat? Because these are heroes that the country has lost. But all of them men of steel and leaving behind families that are united in grief. They all have a lot of questions also on their minds if you look at their faces. There are people who've come in from far and wide, who were complete strangers to them, but they wanted to be a part of their final journey. Now remember, as we were looking at these images, it was difficult to not see another image in contrast of our politicians. One of them is Farooq Abdullah. There are also a number of leaders from the Congress party who've been a votary of conversation with Pakistan. Because look at what Farooq Abdullah has said. He says terrorism will continue until India talks to Pakistan. So why is this statement so wrong? Is it fair for netas to make comments like this? And isn't this the most tasteless response, if I can use that word, to the martyrdom of our brave hearts? Because this means that Farooq Abdullah still believes that Pakistan is a stakeholder when it comes to Kashmir. He believes India should be talking to Pakistan, and I don't know who else in Pakistan should we be talking to and why at all. These are going to be difficult questions. The opposition also finding a way to question the government, saying, you told us that after the abrogation of Article 370, everything is going to be fine. But they say what we are seeing on our screens is the stark reality. Now, is this the time really to play politics? Ask those tough questions because they have to be asked. But is this the time to ask those questions when you have these families mourning? Or is this the time to stand united with these families and to stand united against Pakistan and not say, let's have a conversation? Because just think of this. What is Kabir going to be thinking? The same Kabir Singh who, dons that tiny uniform of his father in the coffin, and the tiny Kabir in his tiny uniform with his baby sister, bidding the final goodbye to his dad, his superhero. The story has moved all of us today. Let's first up join the entire country in paying our tributes to these brave hearts. But then we will also not spare our politicians and continue to expose them.
Over 50 plus hours of anti-terror operation in Anantnag. And our forces are firm in crushing the Pakistan terror in the valley.
Guns are roaring here in Kokernag, South Kashmir. This is the hillock where the operation is on. For the last 3 days, we are seeing the massive exchange of fire taking place, the explosives, the gunshots, everything is being done to neutralize the terrorist hold up in the hillock. And this is the range where the encounter is on, the 19RR along with SOG Anantnag, and also the Special Forces Para is part of this very operation here.
3 Jawans have sacrificed their lives for the country. When Major Ashish said his goodbyes to his family, including his 2-year-old daughter, to resume duties in Kashmir 1.5 months ago, he promised to return to Haryana's Panipat in October to help them move house. Weeks later, his body was being retrieved from the higher reaches of Anantnag's Kokernag area. 6-year-old Kabir Singh donned the army uniform, saluting his father, Colonel Manpreet Singh, who laid down his life fighting terrorists in Anantnag. Humayun Bhat's father, Ghulam Hassan Bhat, laid a wreath on his son's body in Kashmir's Budgam yesterday. His stoic demeanor did not betray his devastation. However, after Farooq batting for talks with Pakistan, now Mehbooba Mufti has undermined the forces.
एक माँ बाप का जवान बेटा इस तरह शहीद हो गया तो उनके लिए क्या रहा, उनकी तो दुनिया खत्म हो गई ना। अब इस पे हम क्या करेंगे, कितनी बार बोलेंगे, मजम्मत करते हैं, कंडेम को, उससे तो वो वापस नहीं आएगा। वो इतना 1 साल भी उसकी शादी को नहीं हो गया था और इस तरह गोलियों का शिकार हो गया। ये तो हमारी बदकिस्मती है जम्मू कश्मीर की कि हमारे जवान इस तरह शहादत पाते हैं जबकि उनके दिन हंसने खेलने के होते हैं और वो कब्रिस्तान की रौनक बन जाते हैं।
While 3 Jawans have sacrificed their lives fighting for the country and forces are going all out to avenge their death, the political parties in the valley are playing petty politics over it. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
And ladies and gentlemen, there are days that you really don't want to say much, but you just want to soak in the kind of sentiment that today has been shared by a lot of you as we were beaming those images live of that little Kabir Singh. And, I'm just requesting all of you to keep Kabir, his family, Bunny, and all these brave hearts, their families, in your thoughts today, because that's important, Rohan. Even if you have Farooq Abdullah and you have the likes of Mehbooba Mufti who still believe it's important to be talking to Pakistan, I'm not sure whether Congress still stands on that, entire plea that has been reiterated ad nauseum by these politicians because they have their own votes to think about. We'll get Rohan into this conversation and respond to that question that you've been asking. He's a political analyst. Nirmal Singh ji is the former Deputy Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir with us. We also do have Major General Rajan Kochar with us, who's a defense expert, and he has some very, very strong views on what has been going on. SP Vaid Sahab is a former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir. And before I let the politicians and the political analysts into this conversation, I want to begin by asking SP Vaid Sahab about what should we be doing, sir, as a country? I mean, where is it that India is going wrong? What is it that we can do more? Because how many men like this should we and can we lose, sir?
First of all, my tribute to the martyrs and heartfelt condolences to the families. The whole nation is mourning their loss. It's a huge, huge loss. Coming to your question, I think today India has technology to hit deep inside 25-30 kilometers. We have Apac helicopters. We have drones which can hit 25 kilometers inside without even crossing the LOC. I think India should think of that option and destroy these terrorist camps at the very source. That is, I think, government of India will have to take a call about that. And as far as ecosystem which was in Kashmir, after abrogation of Article 370, lot of steps have been taken to crush that. You had many government employees who were helping terrorists, and the Pakistan agencies have been identified and removed. You had separatist politics having been contained to a very large extent. You don't know, no stone pelting. You had the Hawala money transactions have been checked by NIA's continuous crackdown. Investigations have been opened against many people like Yasin Malik and Bitta Karate. So many steps. I think that will take a lot of time if I count that. But what I see day for yesterday's incident is the pattern between what is happening in Rajouri Poonch and Kokernag. In both the places, the terrorists are taking up a deep jungle, forest area and hilly area. Earlier, they were in the towns and villages and in inhabited area. They have realized after launching of Operation All Out in 2017, they have lost many of their cadres, thousands of them. And, they keep changing strategy. About a year, I think about 2 years back, you saw the phenomena of targeted killings with small weapons and hitting Kashmiri Pandits, the political workers, outsiders. Security forces and J&K police control that. Now this pattern is emerging. Jammu region, which was almost free of terrorism, has been witnessing these terrorist incidents in Rajouri Poonch for last one and a half year. As per the government data, I think 26 terrorists have been eliminated in Rajouri Poonch in last 1 year, and we have lost our 10 brave hearts. So that shows how much focus is there to disturb Rajouri Poonch and Jammu region as a whole, and Rajouri Poonch in particular. Now, this pattern of taking to guerrilla warfare, taking to hills where you have terrorists have advantage of height, advantage of thick forest cover, have advantage of big boulders, rocks, caves. So this is a classical case of guerrilla warfare. Draw the forces inside, inflict maximum damage to their leadership, and run away. And that is what you are witnessing in Kokernag encounter. So I think we need to have a rethink about our strategy and hit back these terrorists, whatever remnants have been left in Jammu and Kashmir.
I think, sir, you have very well outlined how things have changed over the few years, and you're also telling us what really is the immediate challenge. And before I get in Nirmal Singh ji and Rohan into the conversation, I want to get in General Rajan Kochar into this. Sir, do you believe it's time for us to have a new calculation? And is it fair, to say that what was happening earlier is continuing to happen now, as much of the opposition is wanting us to believe that nothing has changed?
Dipti, I don't think that statement would be correct. Things have changed a lot, and there are statistics to prove that. If you have a look at the local recruitment in the valley, it has come down to 2 digits now. It used to be in hundreds earlier, and there are around 100 terrorists today present in Jammu and Kashmir as per official estimates. And 70 of them are foreign terrorists and 30 other locals. The problem is not of tackling terrorism. The Indian Army is competent enough to sort them out, and these kind of incidents are likely to happen. We have to look beyond this. This strategy of ours has to be beyond this. I want to ask everybody a question here, that why has Pakistan come out of the FATF grey list? Pakistan gave a statement in the FATF grey list. There were 27 observations, and Pakistan has given in writing that there are no terrorist camps in Pakistan. Now I want to question the United Nations as well as these countries who are managing FATF, that what has prompted them to take Pakistan out of the grey list. We have to economically bleed Pakistan as much as possible, because Pakistan has to pay a price. Because from where these terrorists are coming, you tell me? They are coming from line of control, and they are coming from the villages across in Pakistan, and they are being trained there. And we have got documentary evidence, we have got surveillance also on that. So the time has come now to economically bleed Pakistan. All these IMF loans should be stopped immediately. We have to raise this level now with our kind of relations with the United States and other countries. We have to make it count. See, it is not difficult for the Indian Army to tackle these cases inside India, but from where they're coming, the root of the problem has to be identified. And unless we strike at the root, this we will continue to have such incidents. Earlier, the strategy has now changed to south of Pir Panjal ranges because of the terrain we have here. It is very easy for the terrorists to hide here, and any amount of army soldiers and the number of forces you can deploy here, it won't be possible to cover all the forest areas. So time has come now for India to be proactive, to show its might, in the diplomatic might, I would say, in the world today, because we have been recognized as a strong power after the G20. We have made inroads in that, and this aspect was also discussed in G20. And it was brought out by External Affairs Minister Jaishankar that there is only one terrorism. There is no good terrorism or bad terrorism. There is only one terrorism. And the countries who are perpetrators of these terrorism should be brought to task. So I think the time has come now. We have to take a concerted action.
Okay, I think both of you gentlemen have given us so much food for thought that I wonder, Nirmal Singh ji, just give me 30 seconds, sir, before I come to you. I want to get in Rohan quickly here. Rohan, the experts time and again have said you cannot be talking to Pakistan, because who's Pakistan? I mean, when it is about Kashmir, why should we be talking to Pakistan alone? Now, Rohan, why the likes of Farooq Abdullah and Mehbooba Mufti continue to parrot this line? And, should the other alliance partners be absolutely okay with this? When it comes to foreign policy, people would want to know, the voters of the country would want to know, where does the entire alliance stand? I mean, you have to speak as one, Rohan.
Yes. First of all, the two. spoke before me, I feel sticking. They have said, "Oh, you started this debate. We are first of all, we are all Indians. Since Wednesday night, we've seen these images of our gallant soldiers who have died at the border. Okay, and whoever the terrorists who have attacked them, no one here is defending any of that. I heard your speech, Mehbooba Mufti's bite on your television. I didn't know what she said before. My forgive me, my Hindi, my Urdu grasp is not the best, but I didn't see her saying anything in favor of Pakistan in that bite which you played out. And as far as what Mr. The Farooq Abdullah has said, I don't know exactly what he has said. Yes, I don't know what he has said actually. But there is no way for you to insinuate. No, let
He
me
said
just finish.
terrorism
He's
will
not-
continue until India talks to Pakistan. Rohan,
But Dipti, we are
he
not
said
talking about
terrorism
having
will continue
biryani with
until India
Pakistan.
talks to Pakistan.
Dipti, we are not talking about having biryani with Pakistan. It's about
Stop
cornering
this, Rohan.
Pakistan in the
Stop
world
this.
stage.
I mean,
it's
for how
putting,
long will
it's
you do
putting
this, Rohan?
Pakistan down at the UN.
I mean, think
The
about
sir said for us.
you know,
No,
if
Dipti,
there
you
is
cannot insinuate
Rohan,
that
see,
we are talking about talking to
today,
Pakistan.
no,
means-
we are not. Please, Rohan, please. I mean,
I'm
really, can
listening
you
to you.
say
Please
all this
go
on
on.
national television in spite of everything that you have seen today? I mean, on our screens, we've been thinking just about that little
So,
Kabir.
no, but excuse me, Dipti,
At
what
6,
is
he
the
doesn't
solution?
know what death is. You know, he might
No,
have
no,
just
what is-
read
what are
about
we-
death and watched all this, you know, in his comic books. He's seen his father in a coffin today. For God's
Dipti,
sake,
we
Rohan.
are everyone, on Wednesday night we saw the bodies. And what we saw on Wednesday night was the PM and the BJP celebrating their G20 win. So let's not go there. I don't want to make this any more political than it is already become. We are talking about finding solutions. What are we doing about Pakistan? It's not for me to say what. It's not for the opposition to say what the
No, by
Indian
talking to
government needs to
Pakistan,
do
you
about
can't have a
Pakistan.
solution, right? That's what I'm
So
saying.
then take Pakistan
No, Rohan,
down.
Rohan,
Why
I
is
want to get in
Pakistan
Nirmal
out of
Singh
the
ji, who's
FTA
been
list?
very, very
Why
patiently
is
listening to
Pakistan
all
out
of
the
you. So,
FTA
Rohan,
list?
Rohan, please
We all
extend
have
him
been
that
listening.
courtesy. He's also been a former deputy chief minister of Jammu and Kashmir, so he understands Jammu Kashmir far better than at least you and me on the panel. Now, Nirmal Singh ji, अब मुझे ये बताइए, जब फारूक अब्दुल्ला साहब ये कहते हैं कि जब तक पाकिस्तान से बातचीत नहीं होगी, इस टेररिज्म का कोई सोल्यूशन नहीं मिलेगा, इसका सीधा मतलब ये है कि उनको ये लगता है कि पाकिस्तान कश्मीर में एक स्टेक होल्डर है। तो ऐसा कैसे होगा सर? ऐसे कैसे हम मतलब इस तरह की प्रॉब्लम का सोल्यूशन निकालेंगे जब यही पार्टीज जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में इलेक्शंस लड़ती हैं और ये इस तरह की बातें करती हैं?
Dipti, it's a very shocking part of dirty politics which some of the politicians they are playing in Jammu and Kashmir and in rest of India. I was listening to a political analyst, so-called political analyst, how he was defending the killing of our martyrs. This is very unfortunate. We must come at one point, at least on such occasions when there is a question of the security of our nation. Our whole of the
I
nation
didn't
is
defend killing of any
Rohan,
Pakistani.
please,
please.
Rohan,
I was
please
listening-
listen to him,
I was
Rohan.
listening to
He's been the
Mr.
former
Rohan. I was
deputy
listening to
chief
you.
minister of Jammu and
Why-
Kashmir. He understands
why
that
is
state far
Dipti,
better
he
than you
just
and me,
accused
at
me
least,
that I
Rohan, I
defended
said.
something.
Please listen
Dipti,
to
he
him,
is
Rohan.
accusing
That's
me
the
of
least that
something.
we can do. You want us to be talking to Pakistan, but you cannot listen in. You
Dipti,
cannot
I did
listen
not
in
say
to
that we
Nirmal
want to
Singh
be
ji. That
talking
is
to
not done.
Pakistan, but he
Rohan,
just accused
please.
me of defending something which I did
Please.
not. Please give me that excuse.
Please let him finish. Let him finish, Rohan. Please just keep these martyrs today in your mind. A shouting match will not
Please
help
don't
us,
tell me.
please.
No.
It's a
I
solemn
did
day
not
today. A lot
defend
of
the
us have heavy
Pakistani.
hearts, Rohan. I
Please
don't know
tell- I
about
did not
you.
defend
Please.
any Pakistani.
Please,
Please
Nirmal
let
Singh
this
ji will
clear.
complete his point.
I did not
Nirmal
defend
Singh
any
ji.
Pakistani.
So far as this statement of Farooq Abdullah is concerned, they are legitimizing this terrorism as a tool of diplomacy. They are playing as a safety valve for Pakistan. This is unfortunate part. When the whole of the nation want that there should be some stern action against these terrorists and even Pakistan, which is the source of this terrorism, these people, they are trying to, provide this safety, acting as safety valve to that. This is a very unfortunate part. These are disgruntled the politicians. They have lost their ground in Jammu and Kashmir. Even in Kashmir, the Kashmiri youth, They are coming out with candles. After Kashmir's morning, there's the death of our brave hearts. But politicians, they are just chanting the same old story. This is a very unfortunate part. They don't understand the sentiments of the people. When Humayun, DSP, Humayun, a young lad, is being killed by the Pakistani terrorists, the Kashmiri youth he understands that there's a story. But these people are not understanding it. They are just releasing the pressure which is on Pakistan. They are playing dirty politics, I would say. And nobody is going to listen to them. That's very clear.
And
moreover, one thing
absolutely. I second that. I second that sentiment, Nirmal Singh ji, because I've completely run out of time. But, it's a promise that we will not forget. We will not forget Colonel Manpreet Singh, Major Ashish Dhanchok and Deputy Superintendent of Police Humayun Bhat. We will remember what they have done for the country. And Rohan, I really would want you and perhaps the entire opposition to do the same. Please keep Little Kabir in your thoughts tonight. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time, for your perspective on that very, very, disturbing story. I thank all of you. We quickly need to head into a break right now.
On the intervening night of 12th and 13th of September, a joint team of the Indian Army and Jammu and Kashmir Police received specific intel on the presence of terrorists in Anantnag's Garol area. 34-year-old DSP Humayun Bhat was part of the team. In the fierce firefight that ensued in the challenging terrains of Garol, DSP Humayun Bhat lost his life. Republic pays tribute to the brave hearts of Anantnag. This is a story of martyr, Deputy SP Humayun Bhat.
Stoic in his demeanor, but one can imagine the excruciating agony of Ghulam Hasan Bhat, the retired Inspector General of Jammu and Kashmir. He was laying the wreath on the coffin of his only son, Deputy Superintendent of Police Humayun Bhat. The 34-year-old police officer was among the 3 martyrs who died fighting terrorists in Anantnag yesterday. Martyr DSP Humayun Bhat was brave, young and patriotic. He followed his father's footsteps and joined the Jammu and Kashmir Police in 2018, the year his father retired from the force. As his mortal remains arrived home wrapped in the tricolour, a sea of mourners paid their respects. Their tears, their cries, their pain, a testament to what Humayun meant to them.
आज कोकरनाग अनंतनाग में जो दर्दनाक हादसा हुआ जिसमें हमारे डिप्टी एसपी हुमायूं भट्ट शहादत को प्राप्त हुए, वो हमारे रिटायर्ड आईजी गुलाम हसन भट्ट उनके इकलौते बेटे थे और हमारे पूरी जम्मू कश्मीर परिवार की तरफ से उनको श्रद्धांजलि है और आज हम सारा जम्मू कश्मीर का परिवार, जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस का परिवार गुलाम हसन भट्ट और उनके परिवार के साथ खड़े हैं।
DSP Humayun is survived by his parents, his wife, and a 29-day-old child. He was married last year, and only last month he had embraced fatherhood. People of Jammu and Kashmir want its brave son avenged. They want nothing less than 100% retribution.
पाकिस्तान के आतंकवादियों को और पाकिस्तान को चुकाना पड़ेगा। अब पाकिस्तान का खेल खत्म है, अब फाइनल स्ट्राइक होनी चाहिए। आतंकवादी और उनके आका बचने नहीं चाहिए। पाकिस्तान का नक्शे से नामो निशान मिट जाना।
पाकिस्तान सुधरने वाला नहीं है भाई साहब। 65-71 की जंग नहीं होगी तब तक कोई सुधरने वाला नहीं।
Indian forces are resolute in their mission. They will wipe out every trace of terrorism from Jammu and Kashmir and will not rest till they avenge martyrs of Anantnag. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Ram Jethmalani Memorial Lecture Series had three versions of the series. This year will be the fourth year, but it's a very special year this year because this would be Mr. Ram Jethmalani's centenary year. He would have been 100 this September, and the topic has the basic features doctrine: serve the nation well, to see its impact in the service of the nation.
Trending burning question powered by Reva University, Century Ply, Club Prime, Hyundai Alcazar and Creta.
Hello and welcome you watching the Trending Burning Question with me, Shavan Sen. Ladies and gentlemen, for the last 6 months or so, encounters with Pakistan-sponsored terrorists in the valley have been frequent. In fact, we'll put out the numbers in a short while from now. In fact, a lot of questions has essentially been raised because the army has lost brave soldiers in these terror incidents leading up to the recent one on 13th of September in the forested Kokernag region of Jammu and Kashmir's Anantnag district. Now, the terror incident that has been more extraordinary because the fatal casualties were the commanding officer, a young company commander who had generated all the intelligence for the operation initiated by his unit, 19 Rashtriya Rifles and a deputy SP of the Jammu and Kashmir Police. In fact, 3 officers lost their life in their line of duty, and that too in the early part of the action. The army is on the ground to avenge the demise of the brave soldiers. Today, India was in tears with final rites of late Major Ashish Dhonchak and late Colonel Manpreet Singh. In fact, questions essentially being raised as to how long will Pakistan-sponsored terrorism be allowed on our soil. Republic, in fact, salutes the valor of our forces and will forever be indebted to them. Take a look at this report, and then we begin the trending burning question, where we put out the numbers for you to take a closer look of what has really changed post the abrogation of Article 370, the measures that have been taken. But at the same time, why is it that the world would not take cognizance of the fact that it is Pakistan state-sponsored terrorism which is bleeding the valley?
Six-year-old Kabir Singh, donning the army uniform, saluting his father, Colonel Manpreet Singh, who laid down his life fighting terrorists in Anantnag. His 2-year-old daughter bidding a final goodbye. The two children, too young to comprehend the gravity of the situation. Jagmeet Kaur, who had spoken to her husband just before the operation commenced, is proud of Colonel Manpreet Singh's sacrifice. His sister keeping a rakhi on the coffin. An inconsolable mother mourning the loss of her son. With these heart-rending scenes, Colonel Manpreet Singh was cremated in his hometown in Mohali. The proud villagers of Bharonjia waved the tricolour and raised slogans to pay tribute to the third-generation army officer.
इंडियन आर्मी सभी ऑफिसर जेसीओ जवान एक दूसरे से आगे जाने की कोशिश करते हैं, बट इन दिस केस यू हैव सीन ही वाज लीडिंग. तो ये तो हमारी परंपरा है कि लीड करना फ्रंट से. एज ए सोल्जर आई वुड से दिस इज ए पार्ट ऑफ सोल्जरिंग. डेथ इज ए पार्ट ऑफ सोल्जरिंग, बट द क्वेश्चन इज अ मीट ऑनरेबल डेथ व्हिच ही हैज एंड वी आर प्राउड ऑफ हिम.
As the commanding officer of the 19 Rashtriya Rifles, Colonel Manpreet Singh led from the front. He is a Gallantry Award recipient who served in the army for 17 years.
Martyr Sena Medal Colonel Manpreet Singh was the second generation officer in his family, as his father has also served in Indian Army and even in the same battalion as well. Commissioned in 2005 and continuously served in Indian Army for 17 years, and in 2021 he has been decorated with the Sena Medal after he carried out several successful operations and neutralized the terrorist in the valley itself. And in fact his tenure as a commanding officer of 17 RR is all set to end, but before that he carried out this operation in Kokernag, where his supreme sacrifice has been done in the line of duty.
The nation today salutes Colonel Manpreet Singh, his fight and sacrifice inspiring a billion.
Joining us on the trending burning question tonight, General Sanjay Kulkarni. In fact, he has served in this very area where this operation is also being carried out. Major General Rajan Kochar and Colonel Shailendra. General Kulkarni, if I can come to you first, with regards to this hybrid warfare that we are really looking at. There is no doubt about the fact that if you really look at the numbers over the last 5 years, there is a steep decline. At least this is what the government claims at the floor of the parliament. But having said that, this entire aspect of hybrid war has only intensified over the last couple of months, over the last couple of years. How do you really combat that?
Shravan, at the very outset, of course, it's an extremely sad thing, and there is no denying the fact that after the abrogation of Article 370, the insurgency has been contained. But to say it has been eliminated, it would not be possible. Nothing like this gets eliminated so soon. After all, the population post 1989, 50% of the population is post 1989 in Jammu and Kashmir today. Having said that, you realize that yes, the incidents have gone down. The people there have realized that to join the mainstream has been very much beneficial to them. You see the kind of over 1.8 crore tourists having visited, the kind of infrastructure that has come up. People themselves have realized that joining the mainstream, the education, the kind of opportunities that they are getting is so much better. But there are a certain number. You could not, even if I put 5% of the people who still are the sleeper cells who work for the enemy country, that is Pakistan, because Pakistan has been using, and you rightly said, Shravan, they use terrorism as an instrument of state policy. And right from 47, 48, that has been their agenda, that Jammu and Kashmir, if you ask a Kashmiri, he would never want to go to Pakistan. He sees what state Pakistan is in today, economically, politically, internationally, diplomatically. Pakistan is almost at the verge of a collapse. It's a failed state. But the deep state is controlled by Pakistan army. And that is where the whole problem lies. After Ziaul Haq, when he wanted to bleed India with 1,000 cuts, that is what is their agenda. And here we have politicians within our country wanting to say that you should speak to Pakistan. What is it that to whom do we speak to in Pakistan? There is no one in Pakistan that you can speak to because they will never ever change. You've seen what happened with Bhutto. Our own Prime Minister has decided to give 33,000 PWs back to what happened thereafter. Have they said anything? That the thing was to be bilaterally discussed. They raised the issue. His own grandson raises the issue in the UN. So you see these kind of things. Pakistan can't be trusted. That is number one. Number two, Pakistan is a state sponsor of terrorism world over. Why would the Financial Action Task Force put in a grey list? Why was the terror funding part of it? You see Hafiz Saeed, what's happening to Hafiz Saeed? Despite having been jailed, the man is out in the open, freely moving around. China is there to support Pakistan under all So you find that yes, there is a lot of improvement that has taken place. But of late, the change of tactics from Pakistan's ISI, they themselves are under pressure. Taliban is attacking Pakistan. Tehrik-e-Taliban, Pakistan is attacking Pakistan. Their own forces are. Though North Kashmir seems a little contained, now you find the South Kashmir, the south of Pir Panjal, this kind of the forces coming from Nepal, coming from Jammu, using all means. They're using drones for dropping weapons. They'll be using dingy boats for getting across the Kishan-Ganga River, get across this side. So there is. You see in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, the kind of people who are themselves wanting to join Kargil, all time and again, lakhs of people over there. You see the kind of community, the Shias have been discriminated in Pakistan. So there, Pakistan itself in a state of flux. And Pakistan is nowhere at the point of time. But since it's a stooge of China, it seems at this point of time.
In fact, sorry to interrupt you, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, but as far as there is a sea change in the situation on the ground, and perhaps just about a couple of weeks ago when I did the story about the residents of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, it is they who say that open the doors of Kargil because the situation is much better. And perhaps the Pakistan army finds it extremely difficult to control the situation at this point in time. General Kocher, if I can come to you with regards to what Pakistan seems to not understand or comprehend at this point in time, is that hoping that they would continue with their old tactics, they would be able to gain some momentum. But there is a sea change. One, in terms of our policy, it has been consistent. Let us at least admit the fact that several other governments, I'm not really getting into the politics of it, but I ought to make a mention of the fact that there is a consistency when it comes to our policy towards Pakistan, and it does have its impact on the ground. Secondly, Pakistan fails to understand that perhaps what worked in the past will no longer work now.
You see, the certain aspects Oh, yes, Saksh. Can you hear me? Okay. Certain aspects which have been highlighted by you need further emphasis. The first is that there is no political establishment in Pakistan which is calling the shots today. It is a deep state, and we are aware that the survival of the Pakistan army is on the Kashmir agenda. So I don't think ever a situation will come in Pakistan when they will forego the Kashmir agenda. It will always remain there. So then what does India do? It's actually high time we bring these aspects into a slightly larger perspective, because today, especially we have seen after the G20, the kind of clout India is enjoying today at the world stage. So it is time now to make it count for Pakistan. I also fail to understand why Pakistan was taken out of the FATF list. So we have to bring these issues again. There is a need to review the FATF status of Pakistan and bring it back. There is a need to cut off the IMF loan to Pakistan, because Pakistan should be made to understand they're following this policy of terrorism, and all those terrorist camps which are there in Pakistan are there. We are aware of it. And what is happening in Balochistan today, Pakistan is facing a problem of its own making. What is happening with Afghanistan and what is happening with Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, and including the ISIS, Khorasan, which is quite active in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa today, it is making the Pakistan army bleed there. So somehow this sort of a realization is not coming into the minds of the Pakistan military leaders. It is high time they understand, and let us talk about their POJK. If you compare the status of development of Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir and our Kashmir, you will find there is a sea change. And including the population of Kashmir today, the realization is...
On that count, General Rajan Kochar, I would say that there is no comparison. The reason being that as a journalist who's been tracking all developments in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and when I see the kind of protests that are actually taking place and the clear Shia-Sunni divide, one can say this with utmost confidence, that what we have achieved in Kashmir for the people of Kashmir, perhaps Pakistan can only keep muzzling the voice of those who are in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. But I want to also touch upon one small aspect, Colonel Shailendra, that is, are we being a little complacent when it comes to the numbers? Of course, infiltration is an all-time low. In terms of terror incidents also that have taken place, if you really have if you take a closer look, there is roughly about 75 to 80% drop in terror incidents that have taken place. So yes, there is no doubt of the fact that it has improved. Can we really bring an end to it? Perhaps, as Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni was pointing out, does not really happen overnight, because you're dealing with a rogue state like Pakistan, which would like to disturb the law and order situation in the state, or in Kashmir. But the question here is that, are we being a little complacent? Because we are allowing Pakistan to bleed the valley. And as General Rajan Kochar was also pointing out, that we ought to bring in the international pressure on Pakistan.
Shravan Jai Hind, I can only tell you one thing. General Kulkarni is not only General Kulkarni, he's a Glacier Kulkarni. And sir, you taught me, we all learnt it together. What we do is what is going to matter. We climbed the glacier first, we are still there. Nobody can dislodge. I will agree with even other panelists that yes, it's an international diplomacy, all those good words, very mature words, we do understand now. But sir, my question to myself and my army and my politician and all my journalists, how the hell it makes a difference to me what is Pakistan? failing economy, that economy, this economy. How the hell that matters? What matters to me is not what Afghanistan is doing in Pakistan. Who is making whom bleed? I'm only worried about what I'm bleeding. My three soldiers are down. My DSP is down. That is what matters to me. And if at all, as what you are also knowing it, I also know it. If we know where are the camps, what are you waiting for? That another one will come, we'll again shoot him down. Anybody who crosses the fence, he's got a one-way ticket. I admire that. What next? I think this is right the time when we are talking about POK, that so much is happening. There's so much of protest. There is an absolute clear-cut indication available that they are prepared to come this side. Open that gate. Open that gate. Let them force through that gate. And then you start protecting on humanitarian ground that, yes, nobody will touch them. They have come out of their own and we are now there to protect. Give that protection to them. I'm not asking you to go on war. War is not the solution. It is not an era of war. Not only my Prime Minister agrees, I also agree. But is this the era of terrorism? We will keep allowing Pakistan, keep blaming Pakistan. What else?
Right.
FATF. You think, sir, tomorrow morning the FATF will blacklist them? They kept Pakistan for 5 years in FATF. Okay. What has happened?
Colonel Shailendra,
what has happened?
Colonel Shailendra, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
It's a bankrupt country.
Okay.
It is
Colonel
a Katora country. I will agree on all those things. But where is that Katora producing so much of money still going on? I am now advocating there is no
Colonel
need
Shailendra,
to do
I'm
a
sorry I had to
surgical
interrupt
strike.
you because we seem
Stop
to be
doing surgical strike. Now let us start doing surgical operation. Operate and take out this aggrieved body. POK is suffering. We
Colonel
have a
Shailendra,
humanitarian, absolute moral responsibility to put them correct. Let somebody protest in world. I don't mind.
Okay. Colonel
As far
Shailendra,
as
I'm
I'm
sorry to
concerned,
interrupt you because we seem to be having a problem with your video. Colonel Shailendra, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We seem to be having a problem with your video line and I'm really running short of time. But you do make a point that how long can we really accept what is really happening right now? We've tried everything possible, right from a surgical strike to what we saw in Balakot, but it seems that the terror factory wants to still operate in the manner that they are doing right now. Hopefully that the government would up the ante once again. Thank you very much, General Sanjay Kulkarni, General Rajan Kochar and Colonel Shailendra for joining us on the trending burning question.
Amity School of Communication has been ranked among India's top 5 mass comm institutes for the last 3 years by India Today, a testimony to its most high-tech studios, senior professionals as faculty and placements in leading media organizations. To apply, visit amity.edu.
Reception for Prime Minister, opposition poll-bound Madhya Pradesh accorded a glorious welcome to Prime Minister Modi. Here's a report on all that happened and all that he said, a number of important announcements including.
A glorious reception for PM Modi in poll-bound Madhya Pradesh. With Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan by his side, and the G20 success still fresh in public's mind, the Prime Minister regaled the Bina crowd.
G20 की सफलता से आपको गर्व हुआ या नहीं? आपको गर्व हुआ या नहीं? देश को गर्व हुआ कि नहीं हुआ? आपका माथा ऊंचा हुआ कि नहीं है? आपका सीना चौड़ा हुआ कि नहीं हुआ? मेरे प्यारे परिवारजनों, जो आपकी भावना है वो आज पूरे देश की भावना है.
But the Prime Minister was also cognizant of the other big talking point across the nation, the systematic attack on the Sanatan Dharma.
ये इंडी अलायंस की नीति है, एक गमंडिया गठबंधन की नीति है, भारत की संस्कृति पर हमला करने की. इंडी अलायंस का निर्णय है भारतीयों की आस्था पर हमला करो. इंडी अलायंस गमंडिया गठबंधन की नीयत है भारत को जिस विचारों ने, जिस संस्कारों ने, जिस परंपराओं ने हजारों वर्ष से जोड़ा है, उसे तबाह कर दो.
Tracing the civilizational significance of the Sanatan Dharma and citing how it inspired Ahilyabai Holkar to Mahatma Gandhi and Rani Lakshmibai to Swami Vivekananda, the PM made to expose just what the I.N.D.I.A alliance was attacking.
साथियों, ये सनातन की ताकत थी कि स्वतंत्रता आंदोलन में फांसी पाने वाले वीर कहते थे कि अगला जन्म मुझे फिर ये भारत मां की गोद में देना. जिस सनातन ने हजारों वर्षों से भारत को जोड़े रखा है, ये लोग मिलकर अब उस सनातन को खंड खंड करना चाहते हैं.
A few hours later, the Prime Minister was in Chhattisgarh's Raigarh, where he countered the opposition's bid to lace its derogatory attack with caste politics.
सनातन संस्कृति वो है जिसमें भगवान राम सबरी को मां कहकर उनके झूठे बैरों को खाने का आनंद लेते हैं. सनातन संस्कृति वो है जहां राम वनवासियों को, निषाद राजगृह को अपने भाई से भी बढ़कर बताते हैं. सनातन संस्कृति वो है जहां राम नाव चलाने वाले केवट को गले लगाकर धन्य हो.
Unsurprisingly, the most important decision of the I.N.D.I.A. alliance, now they are starting off by grandly declaring that they will boycott 14 anchors, yours truly included. They think it's a great move. They think this will put pressure on journalists to stop questioning things like the declared intent of many of their leaders to eliminate Hinduism, to eliminate and annihilate Sanatan Dharma and uproot Hindu traditions from the soil of our great nation. I am the one who exposed his intellectual inadequacies. They put me in jail with murderers and rapists and underworld dons, and they tried their best to make me compromise. And I want to say to them today, as they bring out this laughable, ridiculous boycott threat, bring it on. The people of this country are with us, with me. But today the rest of the media, as this emergency mindset emerges again, the rest of the media, especially the Lutyens media, they need to develop a spine, because we know how to hit back when it comes to our endless and indefatigable battle for the truth.
From the Delhi studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on The Debate.